I wish I knew what that was, but I'm sure you are. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bulletproof Underwear, episode number 231.
Yay! Look, I can do tricks.
I am your co-host, Yam Juice.
And I'm your co-host, Flex.
And today, we've got our very special guest, none other than Apokalyps Kelly.
Yay!
Straight from San Antonio.
Flex's reactions are by far my favorite thing about our show. He just starts moving really quick. You can't even see where he's at. It's awesome.
Well, he's like
That's the way I am. Too quick for view.
There you go.
He's kind of like doing that blind blues man kind of thing.
The Stevie?
Yeah, the Stevie Wonder kind of deal. So you know what? It's like you're lit up so well and your color is so good. I've got to ask you, what's the deal with that white shock of hair?
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna put the headphones down so you guys can get a better perspective of this.
Wow.
You can believe it or not, I got one of those too. You can't see it hardly because my hair's cut, but right here, there's mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but Flex, you're an old fart. Kelly, what's the deal?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's the deal with that?
So when I turned 20, I started getting a little bit of gray everywhere, right? And then by the time I was like 21, my head had just erupted with gray hair, especially like right here. So
I thought you were going to say you got hit by a bolt of lightning.
You could say that.
Either that or I thought maybe you're just a huge Bonnie Raitt fan or something.
Well, when I'm out working in corporate America, I'll start growing my hair out again because I really want to see what happens here when this is long. But I have to convince the wife too, so we'll see what she says.
Well, so what's the longest you've ever had your hair grow?
Oh man, that's a picture I probably shouldn't send you guys. I would say the longest I've ever had my hair, probably 8 inches.
Okay.
My hair was about 8 inches long.
I'm not talking about that down there. I'm talking about
Well, when the barber cut my hair, they were like, because my hair grows really quick, and it's right. I go to the barber in a month, and it's like I haven't got my hair cut for 6 months. But when I finally got it cut, after I had like let it grow for a while, it was like really long, but it wasn't like, thinned out or anything. Like it looked awful, but
Have you ever used product to spike it into like spiky shit?
Oh yeah, dude, every day. I mean, nothing like
that?
Liberty spikes or anything, but when I was playing in a band and I was drumming, I'd have pretty crazy spikes going, but nothing like.
Oh really? You're a drummer?
Yeah. I was in a band for like 2 years.
Well, that explains.
Never got gigs though, but yeah, double bass, dude. Yeah.
Double bass. Wow.
Yeah, I've still got my Iron Cobras. I've convinced my wife to not make me throw them out. So
is that your beaters? Your little things?
My bass pedals. Yeah, they were expensive.
So you didn't just do 2 pedals on one kick drum. You did 2 separate kick drums?
No. So here's my philosophy as a drummer, and I'm very far removed from playing. So like if I got behind a kit right now, like I'd be incredibly rusty. So you can have too much hardware, and by hardware I mean like, bass drum, floor toms, rack
millions of toms, millions of cymbals.
You don't need that much. Now cymbals, you can never have enough cymbals.
You can never have too many cymbals. Yeah.
The shinier and the more you have, the better. Like if I go like this and I can't hit anything behind me, like there's something wrong with my setup. So
yeah.
Love cymbals.
Well, what's really awesome is those like 80s heavy metal guys setup was like 100 quadrillion different things.
Queen's
like,
right, man.
You can't move any direction without hitting something.
Mm-hmm.
Including
you're talking like
a
Def
gong.
Leppard. So one of my favorite drummers, I'm the guy that breaks sticks because my technique isn't very good, but I hit stuff really hard. So Danny Carey from Tool, if you've ever seen him, he's got a giant gong behind him. And like most of his sets, so any of like his studio sets, if he's ever doing like a DVD and drumming or whatever, he'll have a gong behind him. And it's just like, and Danny Carey's one of those guys, like he's a fantastic drummer, but he hits stuff really hard.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful drummer.
So you hit hard, so you're like underneath your hi-hat there's like a pile of wood, right?
I almost blinded a guy in practice because I rim shotted, and my sticks, I think I was playing with, weren't 2Bs, they were thicker than 2Bs. But they
2Bs or not 2Bs?
Half. Yeah, right. So it snapped in half, and it flew by the guy's face. And he like whipped his head out of the way, but like I was literally like this, and as I rim shotted it, it flew off and splintered, and I was like, oh look, it's over there. That's cool. But yeah, dude, like I love music, but I do so much stuff. Like I did so many different things growing up. Like I write. I still on my bucket list. I want to write a book. I'm still trying to work through that. I don't have really
fiction or nonfiction.
Fantasy.
Fantasy. The ultimate fiction.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write a book about my life. That's fiction. My life falls into the category of.
No, that would be
You couldn't make this shit up.
No, the book on your life would be filed under true crime.
I'm not that much of a criminal.
Flex is all the version of 50 Shades of Grey, but it's not some really rich white guy. It's a really poor white guy. So it's an episode of Criminal Minds instead of.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so what would you do if you're like you're looking for something and you find in the back of the drawer there's a dog-eared copy of 50 Shades of Grey. You know, it's like, honey.
Yeah, right. Like, what's this? I mean, if you're into like, abuse, like we can have a conversation, but I don't, but yeah.
Well, I didn't read the book. I didn't see the movie, but I heard about it.
I finally found a reason you don't need an excuse. I won't sing the rest because we'll have to pay for it.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
Well, YouTube is going through adpocalypse right now.
I heard. There's some people saying that ad revenue is no longer going to the streamer, the people making the content, correct?
Well, I mean,
is that kind of
revenues are way the hell down. There's like 90% of the revenue that a lot of people were getting is gone. It's like they're only getting a tiny fraction of what they used to make. And I don't know how that'll impact YouTube. It could.
Should people get rich off of YouTube? Should they become multi-millionaire? I mean, should they drive Teslas, and should they?
Well, ask Halo Follower.
Well, I'm not being a dick or nothing or saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying, should they?
So when I was doing that whole stream thing, right? Like when I was getting ready to do that thing with that group of guys, right?
Yeah.
And we were networking, we're meeting people, and we went to PAX South, and I think it's the whole thing we deal with, right, as guys who game, right? So I'm 30. I still get flack for being a gamer, right? But I kind of grew up with it more, right? So I was born in 86. So the NES was a household system by that point, right? Or is it 88? I think 88 the NES released. So like gaming was like part of my culture, right? It was part of like my dad's culture. Like they had Pong, but it wasn't like, it wasn't a part of mainstream culture, right? Like now, like Marvel is a
You can't really base your lifestyle around Pong, though.
So, but my point is, right? So, YouTube creators and Twitch and Beam and YouTube Live and Hitbox and all these people who are doing this, right? Like all the work that goes into it off screen, right? I mean, now me personally, like I have this really sweet green screen. Excuse me. I have all this nice equipment. I've got a pretty sweet mic. I've got lighting. I've got the Elgato, the internal Elgato. I've got a mixer. I've got all this junk, right? But it's really difficult for me to get my audio working. Audio is like the biggest problem, but these people, like, they put so much work into networking, to preparing the streams, to going live, to making content, you were just talking about it off recording, Yam, about, it took you 9 hours to render a video that was an hour long. So you've got these people who are spending all this time, and to Flex's point, like, I get that, man. Like, if you're making just, to each his own, right? It's like you've got mainstream media who just does satire, right? And they make millions. Like the Inquirer, I could literally go write that whole paper and like a sitting, right? But I'm not making that kind of money off it. But I think as far as people or social media people making money off of their content, that's fine if people are willing to buy it or they have influence and they have viewers, right? I think personally that's the way of the future. I think that's why YouTube's in a lot of trouble, is because the more innovative Twitch gets, and especially depending on what Microsoft does with Beam, right? Because Beam is a really interesting kind of streaming platform.
I haven't even heard of it. What is it?
Beam's fast.
Beam's really fast. It's more interactive than Twitch. So, like, for example, like if you're watching a Twitch stream, right? You don't have access to the emotes, so there's sub icons or any of that other stuff, right? If you're not a subscriber.
Right.
On Beam, you can interact with the streamer if you're in the stream watching for a certain amount of time. So there will be like, they'll have a panel set up, for example, that if you want to tell them they suck. There's a guy I was watching play Halo the other day that had that, and I was like, that's really weird. But you'd watch it for a certain amount of time, and then you'd accrue points, and then I could use some of those points to tell the guy that he sucked. Yeah, like you hit the button, and then it goes off on his screen. And so, but Beam, like Flex is saying, Beam is really fast. Like there's literally zero latency when you're interacting with your stream and with your viewers. It's really interactive. It's a lot of fun.
Beam is Microsoft's streaming tool.
Well, yep. Is it kind of
it's trying on the Xbox One? It's on the Xbox One as an app.
Is it trying to be Twitch? Is it trying to be YouTube or both or what?
It's more. It's if you were going to compare it to something, it's definitely like Twitch or YouTube Live. It's not YouTube like like this, right? We're going to go online.
But does it save what you stream for on demand later if you want?
I believe there's some options there. I haven't tinkered around with it too much. I really like Twitch. I like how they have things set up, and I like how they have things organized. I will say this though, Beam. This is the hardest part, right? So when we were at PAX South, and I remember being a young kid who was like, I'm going to be YouTube famous, right? Everybody knows somebody like that, right? Yeah. So you get all your stuff, and then your whole motivation behind the grind of doing and creating content is to get rich or to get famous, right? And it doesn't happen. I mean, like you've got a bunch of people on Twitch who can kind of make a living on it, but a lot of those people are not over the age of like 28.
Yeah, but almost everybody who does do well is doing it. Maybe they're making money now, but at some point they were doing it just because they fucking love doing it.
Right. So if you're gonna be a good streamer, right, you've got to build a following is the first thing you got to do. And Beam, I think you can do it, but a lot of the people on Beam the people who are like really adamant on streaming on Beam aren't making money off of it. And Microsoft has brought in a ton of talent, a ton of really huge people from Twitch, like streamers and content creators is, I guess, the technical term. And then they brought them over to Beam to tell them how to, like, hey, how do we do this well? And so you've got some of those top streamers that used to be on Twitch, and now they're promoting Beam, and they're on Beam, and they're doing all this other stuff. So
how big of a presence is Beam? I mean, compared to Twitch, it's probably pretty small.
Yeah, I would say it's not anything that's huge.
I'd say people are more fucking around with it now than they're really using it.
Yeah, I
wouldn't say that you've seen anybody use it, day in, day out for a stream like you do on YouTube.
Well, these big boys like Twitch and YouTube.
And like, Twitch.
There's a dozen YouTube kind of alternatives, but none of them are really viable. I mean, if you want to have a channel, you could go on Dailymotion or one of those other things, and nobody will see your shit because there's nobody going there.
Well, that's number one. There's that, right? And then number two, Google backs YouTube. So, like, I mean, you're talking about the juggernaut that is Google. Like, I mean, YouTube is it's gotten to the point where it's so recognized, right? Like you're going to get a ton of traffic if you have a following on Twitch, right? And you go, or you're on Twitter, right? Especially when it comes to gaming. Like we're not even talking about podcasts and all the other junk that's on YouTube, right? Not that everything that's not a video game is junk on YouTube, but
hey, if it ain't video games, it ain't shit.
right. So YouTube is like it's integrated into people's phones. It's everywhere. Dailymotion.
Well, you could buy first run movies on YouTube,
and they're integrating Amazon into YouTube and everything else. So it's like,
how did they miss out on Twitch? How did they not acquire Twitch? You know they got to be kicking themselves.
Well, who bought Twitch?
I forgot who bought it, but they paid like $1 billion for it.
Right. So, let me see real quick. I think
it was Yahoo.
Twitch slipped in under the radar. Excuse me. Twitch slipped in under the radar, man. That's how it happened.
No, they were bought by Amazon. That's right.
Oh, bought by Amazon.
So Amazon bought them because Amazon's trying to make an army. They're like Jim Pokemon from South Park.
Amazon's trying to get the trifecta.
Well, I got to tell you, I buy everything on Amazon. I mean, I've even bought coffee filters. And
so does my mom. And she bought this stuff on Amazon.
I bought Cheetos. On Amazon.
Jalapeno Cheetos. That's Cheetos.
Well, Amazon's just a fantastic service. I mean, that's the craziest thing, right? Like, Amazon's reliable. They get your stuff pretty quickly, right? You if you shop around a lot, like, I don't feel like ever that the things that I'm interested in buying, especially when it comes to gaming or something like that, right? Like anything's overpriced. Everything's like pretty much like where it needs to be. And everybody has Amazon Prime because, I mean,
you have
and now they're selling groceries. So it's like, but.
Well, when are they going to start selling whores? That's what I want to know. It's like, you know,
that's Craigslist.
You're a businessman, and you know you're here in Cincinnati for just one night, and you know it's like go on your old Prime account and have a something delivered.
That's back page, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Beam's positioned well, though. I think the thing that Microsoft's doing right now, I mean, we can even segue into the Scorpio and how excited I am for that, but I think Microsoft itself is a company. I mean, we don't even have to go down the Windows 10 route and all their software and everything else, but from a gaming perspective, how they're doing cross-platform gaming with their IPs, and then the backwards compatibility that's available now to the cloud, to the servers, to Beam being like very integrated into. Oh yeah, I need to pick that up still, but
that's a good game.
But it's so good, and here's the goal, right? I would think the goal is, you know, with Beam, what's really cool is you can do it. You don't need extra hardware. You can literally do it straight from your Xbox, and it works. It's not.
Well, you can Twitch from your Xbox too, you know.
Yeah, but Twitch, it's the hard
work
part.
right.
Yeah, it can. I mean, I think a lot of it depends on your internet, but like Flex is saying, like it's definitely more demanding on your hardware. Beam is, I believe, it's optimized better for the Xbox because it's built into how they run the software. Right, the Twitch is taking it. It's an
machine level, man.
Right. It's
I thought they were using. No, I thought Microsoft wrote a special protocol for it.
Yeah, I would guarantee.
Xbox. You're right.
Right, because it's their brand, it's their thing, and
because it's a closed hardware and software platform, it's a lot easier to optimize it, and which is really cool when you think about it. Because I was watching it when I ran it, and it was like, you're right. You can watch it stream on your laptop, and it's almost verbatim.
Right.
I mean, it's right. It might be off just a hitch.
But you don't get that latency. You don't get that latency with Twitch or YouTube Live or Hitbox or anything like that. And that's the point, right? Is you're integrating a social community around gamers and gaming, right, with Beam that you didn't have before, which is really, really cool. And then also on that note, right, now they're also beginning to bridge the gap. It'll be interesting to see kind of how they do cross-platform. You know, so like how they're bridging the gap between PC gamers and Xbox gamers.
Right.
I'll be interested to kind of see how that works. But
now, do you want to see people playing Halo on Xbox playing against people playing Halo on PC?
So, first off, I want them to fix the freaking servers for Halo because the servers are straight trash.
Well, before you answer, they're coming out with keyboard and mouse support for the Xbox.
Oh, they have that. Yeah, so Yam, I'm way too competitive as a person. Right? Like, I'm super chill with people and, like, they can be themselves and do whatever they're doing, right? But you put me behind a game, like, I will murder you. I'm super competitive. Like, sports, I'm competitive. Like, in gaming, I'm very competitive. Like, I want to win. Board games with my family, not so much. But video games like Halo, like, if I don't win, it's not fun. Like, I have to win. So, like, when you put I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I get so much hate for this. Halo 2, right?
Halo 2.
I think it took more skill to play Halo 2 on console at a LAN event than any other console game we've ever had, ever. And even PC, Counter-Strike takes way less skill to play.
Them's fighting words for some.
Well, and let me say this. I'm not saying that Counter-Strike doesn't take skill.
You're talking about button combos and stuff.
I'm talking about you having a controller and using your thumbs to aim as opposed to a mouse and keyboard. The amount of precision you get with a mouse and a keyboard is insane compared to what you get with a controller. They're night and day difference. So,
right,
like,
that's why we have aim assist and stuff like that.
Right. So if you put me in a game, right, of a competitive playlist, right, that my rank's on the line, and I'm playing against some Yahoo using a mouse and keyboard, I'm gonna be pissed because it's a huge advantage to the guy with the mouse and keyboard.
Oh yeah,
that's what I think. I don't think first-person shooters they should.
So what I would want. So say for example, like Destiny 2 comes out. What I think would be awesome if they're going to be able to kind of bridge that gap, if it's going to be on PC, because last time I heard the rumor was it was. Now, granted, we get the reveal in like 2 days, which is I'm super pumped about. But if we could do, like, say for example, you're on Xbox, and I'm on Xbox, but Flex is on PC. If we could do story co-op content together, that's fantastic. I think anything that doesn't have to do with PvP should be cross-platform, and that would be amazing.
I agree.
I don't think we'll ever see like PS4 and Xbox One kind of like integrate that way, because then there's no reason to have either console except for personal preference.
And Sony's way too proprietary to ever let that happen.
Well, Sony's only department that's making the money is PlayStation. So, and I mean, I have a PS4 now. My wife bought me one for Christmas because she's awesome. And I love it. I love my PS4 for, my single player games and a lot of the stuff. But if I had to pick between systems, I'd pick my Xbox because it suits what I like to play. As far as titles, though, Xbox, I think, has some catching up to do. I don't think there's nearly the multiplayer experience. I feel like is a lot better. And if you're a competitive gamer, the skill gap between PlayStation players and Xbox players is night and day. And that's also fighting words for a lot of people that probably watch.
That's fighting words, but you know what?
Yep.
I have both systems too, and I had both systems in the Xbox 360 and PS3, as did Flex. In those days, I played Call of Duty, and I can tell you right now, I had it on both systems.
And we played it on both systems like a son of a bitch, man.
The Xbox players were tougher.
Yeah, I mean,
you could argue if you want. You could argue if you want. If you want to find out, just go on both systems and you'll see.
Yeah. So I think back to the point of Beam and integration and cross-platform and all this other stuff. If they do Xbox is, I personally think, because of the Scorpio, if the Scorpio is as good as everybody says it is, right? So Digital Foundry did a tech demo with it, right? Digital Foundry. It's like every mainstream gaming media source hates Xbox and loves PC and loves the PlayStation, right? I mean, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, pretty much.
When you hand the Scorpio over, like a dev kit over to Digital Foundry, and they go, this thing's freaking amazing, that's pretty cool. it means that like a lot of the stuff they're saying and kind of how they programmed it and the hardware and everything else is actually like it's reason to be excited. And then on top of that, right, they're still supporting the Xbox One, right? Everything on the Scorpio is just going to be a beefed up emulated version.
It's a deluxe Xbox One
to start, right? Now, granted, 2 years from now, I'm pretty sure they'll just start making Scorpio exclusives and whatever they're going to do with from there, right? Which is fine. But then they're integrating the Xbox One community, they're integrating the Scorpio community, and then they're going to integrate the Windows community, right? So everything's starting to get, like, you're seeing it already now with, like, the Xbox app on PC, right? Mm-hmm. When was the last time you were able to talk on an app besides, like, Discord, TeamSpeak, any of the other stuff? And even TeamSpeak you couldn't use on an Xbox, but, like, you couldn't talk to people on an Xbox, right? Now you can. Now you have the Xbox app, so they're integrating it that way. Games are cross-platform. You can, like, all this other stuff. So I think Microsoft is primed in a really, really great spot because the PS4 Pro, as cool as it is, right, it's nowhere near. Like, Xbox is going to have the elite system, right?
I know the secret about Scorpio.
What?
The internal codes run on Linux. Ha! No, it's not. No. Oh God, Microsoft, don't sue us, man. So I think, God forbid Microsoft use open source, man.
I'm super excited about the future of the Xbox gaming community because, you know, I think last time we were talking, right, I told you I thought that this was the last round of consoles for Microsoft. I thought they were done. Yeah. Not sure the Scorpio, but like, I think I told you guys, right? I thought it would be smarter for Microsoft to just own their IPs and own the software, own it,
right,
like they do, and then just source the hardware, because then they could just invest whatever. But they seem to be very interested and they're still really interested in the indie community, like indie developers, right? And then they're really interested in continuing to grow the Xbox gaming brand.
So you think they're going to roll over, man? They come out with a frickin' PC and a console, and that's what it is, man. They've crammed a PC into a console.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it has PC power.
It's going to have a better video card than the one I spent $500 on my PC.
Yeah. Right, and that's right. It's the grossest thing about the gaming community currently, right? Is I'm 30, and I'm kind of frugal. Right, I spend a lot of money on all of my cool stuff that I have. Right, I've got 2 monitors. I've got, I've got I've got 2 Xbox Ones. I've got a PS4. I'm gonna buy a Scorpio. I've got a Wii U. Like, I've got all this stuff. Right. At the same time, though, I took my time and acquired these things. I don't have the money to go buy a Titan 1070. I can't. I'm not gonna go spend $900 on a graphics card. I don't have that kind of money. So for Microsoft to take a console, which, yes, it's not the same as like the top end PC that you can build right now, right? It's probably not even like better than maybe a $1,500, $2,000 PC, right? But it's plug and play. It's plug and play. It's not, there's no programming. There's no like, I got to fix this or I got to do this. Like, they take care of all the patching. They take care of all this other stuff. And then,
so you don't got to worry about driver incompatibility and all that shit.
Right. I turned my computer on. Why didn't it turn back on? Like, I think that's the coolest thing about the power of the Scorpio and how developers are super excited to develop for it. That's always what I look for, right? Because like the Switch is a really cool piece of hardware, right? But that's exactly what everybody said about the Wii U. And by the way, having a Wii U that I borrowed from my friend and I'm playing Breath of the Wild on is a super cool device. Like, it's really awesome. But it was a nightmare to develop for. So nobody wanted to make games. And Nintendo sucks, by the way. They're just a bunch of jerks. So whatever. But like, if the Scorpio's easy to develop for and it's the new thing and it's powerful and like developers can do all this cool stuff with it that they couldn't do before, and they're excited to work with it, man, like, that's, as a gamer, that's what you want, right? That's what I wanted with the PS4 Pro, even though I'm a Microsoft fanboy, right? Is I wanted the PS4 Pro to do something different and better and like test developers and make them like, oh, we can do this really cool stuff with this thing.
And you felt like you got fooled. Just like me.
So
just like me, man.
So
went and bought one, and I was like, well, this is going to be the fucking rat's ass. Turn it on. Huh. Same old PlayStation.
Oh, you didn't buy a $1,500 TV to play your stuff in 4K. So you really don't get any benefit.
Or spend $400 on a 27, 30-inch monitor that runs 4K.
Right.
Well, those things are getting cheaper. 4K
Absolutely
monitors, 4K TVs, they're pretty damn cheap already.
When the Scorpio begins to release is when we'll start to see, we're seeing the newer versions of 4K, right? Because now it's not even going to be 4K anymore. Now you've got OLED, right?
Yeah.
Technology. I had a friend who used to work at Best Buy. He was telling me they're working on like 16K or something stupid. I don't even know what that is. Like Samsung just crams a new microchip in something, and it's like, oh, this thing will make you sandwiches while being in, there's a different plane that exists that you didn't know before.
They're working on resolutions a human eye won't be able to discern.
Right.
Well, I'd say when they got to 1080, it's fucking good enough, in my opinion. Really, it's like I've seen 4K and it looks good, but like, come on, 1080 was great. 1080 was great. I'm sticking with my monitor. I'm not going out for a 4K monitor.
I'm gonna buy. I think my monitor can go 4K, so I've got to figure out if have to run that directly into my monitor or not. Because I've got an Alienware I bought off my buddy that was like really, really good. But so this is my personal take. And granted, I can't keep up. My eyes can't keep up with. I used to play on a 27-inch monitor. That's the one to my right here. And then the one I'm looking at right now is my 24-incher. But I can't keep up with better resolutions. Like sometimes when I'm watching 4K movies, right? Like I'm kind of like, that's just too much for me. Like I don't even need that. Like it's cool, right? But it's just too much. So like 1080p, 60 frames for a shooter, right, is perfect for me. I love how Halo 5 looks.
That's awesome.
Right, if we didn't have frame rate drops and we didn't have the stability issues that we have with the game, like that's fine for me. I don't need more than that. But RPGs, my single player games, I want them at 30 frames because it's a cinematic kind of feel. It doesn't need to play like a shooter because it's not a shooter.
Oh, come on. Everything's better at 60.
Because you need the shooter to play 60, because especially at BF1 when you're bayoneting people, man, you don't want to miss them fuckers, man.
Well,
hey, I didn't get over 1,000 tags by just thinking about bayoneting people.
I'll send you to pick that up. But that's my point, right? So RPGs, right? Like I'll play them at 30, and that's okay for me because you've got the cinematic kind of deal, right? Shooters have to be at 60 frames or higher. Absolutely. But games like Counter-Strike, right? Like because Counter-Strike is literally like the game looks like trash. The reason that people want their frame rates higher, right, is to get an advantage on the people they're playing. Because if you miss a frame, like, whatever. But like Final Fantasy 14, there's a new expansion coming out that's an MMO. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's like World of Warcraft, except I think it's better, but I'm just making everybody in your channel mad, yeah. But like playing that game at 1080p and 60 frames is amazing. Like the particle effects in the game and how it looks, it's gorgeous. It's super cool. And when it's like playing like that and the frames are kind of like staying around 60, it's just a beautiful game. But that's an MMO. That's not like playing Horizon Zero Dawn or Fable, right? But I mean, I don't know. Like people want things to look better. They're all arguing about like specs and is it 4K? Is it not 4K? And I'm kind of like, I mean, 4K for cinematic, sure, right? But at the same time, like, if you can give me like 120 more hours of a game because it's in 1080 as opposed to 4K, because we all know to process something at 4K is insane.
Right. It takes resources, which could have been maybe used to make a better game or a longer game.
Looking at you, 343 with Halo 5.
Well, you can't argue with the way the gameplay looks and feels. I mean, 60 frames,
right. But you've got map stability issues, right? Because they haven't, for whatever reasons, there's code that's broken in Halo 5. I don't know why. It's the whole heavy aim thing, right? you guys have played it, and you go into like a playlist where they have a forge map, right, that they pulled to put into rotation, and you lag everywhere. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just the stability's not there. And then, I mean, to quote Faven, right? Faven put out a video recently, and that I literally, like, that guy, I just... I'm going against all my principles right now. But he had some really, really solid points in that video. It was entitled something like "You Can't Make Everybody Happy." 343. Moving forward, you kind of cater. And then he went through like how the gameplay in Halo 3, right? Everything was kind of the same across the playlist. You didn't have like 500 million different things happening. You had the base game, and then you had some tweaked settings, but it wasn't like night and day different. Like Warzone, right? Warzone, and then regular arena competitive multiplayer stuff, they're very different. So you have to allocate resources for both. You have to.
Right.
So at some point you run out. At some point you can't do more. And I think...
Well, the game didn't even ship with fucking Big Team Battle.
So...
And there you have it.
I mean, can you believe that? Can you believe that? It's like...
and they still have it. I mean, I haven't gotten back on the play. Depending on when we get done, I might log in to see how the heavy aim... Because they're supposed to fix the heavy aim. I don't believe them. But we'll see. So Destiny 2 trailer reveals this week. We'll get to see gameplay. I'm pretty excited about that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Then what else? What else is going on, gaming wise?
Well, there's always virtual reality.
Nah, that's just a trick. I'm never going to do that. It's just going to be a fad. Next topic.
It's too early, man. It's too early. I mean, it really is, right? Like it. I think virtual reality is super cool, and I think there's some really neat things you can do with it. At the same time, though, like I think what I want, and I would argue 90% of the friends I talk to want with VR, right, is I want to go in a room that's like an abandoned steel warehouse with a headset on and padding all over the walls, and I want to fight in an arena. But I need space to do that. Like, you can't do that sitting here with a headset on. You're like, this is fun. Like, that's not. It's
my fear is I'll put the fucking things on. Okay, I'll start flailing around the room, fall down and break my goddamn arm because I'm accident prone. Okay, that's what'll happen.
Trip on the cord.
Well, I like to play sitting down, and I play at my desk. It's like,
I think it's broken.
If I got the skin diver mask on, it's like, okay, I can just look around. I can look around. Yeah, this is so cool. I'm looking around. Oh my god, this is so neat.
Right, and that's neat, man. That's neat.
This is the coolest thing ever, man. Look at that.
He's so stupid.
Well, porn is probably going to drive if it succeeds.
It is. Of course it is.
That's going to be the killer app. There'll be like there'll be shit that you just will curl your hair, man.
Man. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, what do you got, Flex? Yeah, today. How is that?
Today. It's fun. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of this type of game.
Okay.
But I'm willing to give it a try. And I'm only played it a little bit. I didn't have much time today, but I did get this cool shirt.
Yeah, that shirt is sweet, bro.
It is.
So I can't say go buy it or not go buy it right now because I haven't played it enough.
Okay.
So what about you, Kelly? Are you a fighting game kind of dude?
Side scroller fighting guy? Mortal Kombat?
Man, I say whoopsie all the time when I'm playing Halo in the lobby. I'm like, whoopsie! No, so like my favorite fighting game of all time is Dead or Alive 4.
Oh.
Excellent game.
People
game.
love it for a lot of reasons.
They like it because Kasumi.
Yeah, because you can set the age limit in it. No, I was a lonely college kid too. No, the mechanics in that game are fantastic. Like the fight mechanics, the blocking countering system. When you play Soul Calibur 2, right? And then that one punk picks Maxi, and you're just like, you're an asshole. Like, why are you even here? You need to leave. Like, and he just does that stupid like side kick, that low kick thing. Oh, I hated people who played with him. But Dead or Alive 4, like, you could play it like a button masher and you could have fun with it, right? Or you could like really master the mechanics. And granted, I'm not really in the fighting game scene, so I haven't played the new Street Fighter. I haven't played not Darksiders.
Well, you're an
Darkstalkers.
You're like an Xbox guy, so obviously you've played
Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is cool. I mean, it's neat, but compared to Dead or Alive 4, like, I felt like Dead or Alive 4 was such a good fighting game. I always felt like I could do really fun stuff in it.
And not just because of the obvious reason.
Yeah. Well, did you ever have Dead or Alive Extreme Volleyball?
No. I
did you ever have Rumble of the Roses?
Yeah, I bought a used copy of Rumble Roses many years ago. It's not a very good game.
I had a friend of mine. I'm going to make him watch this part of this video too. I had a friend of mine when you guys ever hear of Final Fantasy 11?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, no. This would be a good. You know what? This will be a good topic because I know what's our time at right now. Okay, so we're 51 minutes. I don't want to keep everybody up too much longer, but this could probably be our last topic, and I want you guys to actually talk instead of making me talk. And I'll segue here after my funny story. So Final Fantasy 11 was an MMO in like the late 90s, I think, early 2000s. It might have been 2001. Super, super awesome game. But so my friend played a female character, which a lot of people do, right? I pick female characters in MMOs, and then I design them like my wife because it's just cool. But he used to flirt with people, and he would get free money from very lonely people.
Oh, man.
I'm going to make him watch this. Okay, so here's my segue, right? So he and I were talking the other day. We were playing Final Fantasy 14, which, if you've played World of Warcraft, you've played Guild Wars 2, they're both prominent MMOs, right? You've played Final Fantasy 14. I'll even go so far as to say, like, you go play, not necessarily Halo 5, but you play, like, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. You play Halo Reach, right? You play Destiny. Final Fantasy 11 was very, very hard. You hit a point, like, for example, you have this town where you start in, right? Like, you're not a town, but you can pick which town you start in. But you start your character, and you go to this place called the Valkyrie Dunes, right? And the Dunes is the kind of place where, you know how most games right now, like, you're just an overpowered, like, maniac. Well, you can't go attack something in the Dunes because you'll die. So you need a team of people to help you kill us through it. And you spend, like, when you first played through the game, you would spend days in the Dunes. They were called the Dunes. And you would have to level through that, and you would be able to only go to certain areas in the Dunes until you got to a certain level, and you kind of upgrade and go to a different area. But if you ever aggroed something by yourself, you'd die because it was hard. And then, right, as the game goes on and on and on, there's things called, like, magic burst and skill chains and other things like that where you have to pay attention. But so he and I were talking the other day about how great of a game that was. And granted, when I really got into it, I was in college, right? When I played Halo 2 was how long ago now? 12 years?
Long time, yeah.
Right? So I was like 18, right? I love Halo 2. I've told you guys time and time again, like, Halo 2 is so great. Halo 2 is the main thing. Halo 3 sucks. And, like, every other game is trash. Halo 2 is the best. But, like, so we had this really, really good conversation about nostalgia and actual quality of gaming. And I feel like we're in such a weird territory as a gaming culture. And Halo, we can just go off on Halo here. We can even bring, I know you guys play Call of Duty, so we can even bring Call of Duty into this conversation. I think it's a good segue here. Of, like, me, I want this old thing that I used to love, right? Because it's so much better than what I'm playing now. because what I'm playing now is just frustrating and it sucks and it's not what I'm used to and all this other crap. And so we had a really good conversation around, is that just nostalgia for people? Or were the games really that good?
Or were the games better? Yeah.
Or was it a combination of kind of both? Right? Because you guys know there's certain games you probably played that were iconic for you growing up. They had a profound impact on like what you played and how you played it, right? And then you get older and you kind of go, I'd rather play that old game instead of this new piece of crap. This is like,
well, you know what? It may be nostalgia, but it also is the fact is it's novelty. It's like these games were new. These games were new to you then, but now you've seen that same game recreated 100 times. It's like there's nothing new left under the sun. It's like every game has been played to death. I mean,
and
every single thing that you can think of has already been done.
We've seen that happen to COD, man.
Right.
We've seen it happen over and over again.
They tried fucking everything under the sun. You're right, man.
Then they threw it in one game called Infinite Warfare.
And, you know, I mean, Advanced Warfare kind of sucked. Infinite Warfare, whatever.
Yeah, but the first time
now I hear they're going to sell. Now I hear they're going to sell Modern Warfare Remastered as a separate game. Rumor, but I don't know. You know,
maybe. Well, the first time you get on COD 4 in 2007, you're like, "Oh my god, this is just so fucking awesome."
When you blow what's his name's arm off, that is so cool, man. You know, I mean, you got to watch the little flag and shit, and then boom, you think you get him in the head, and his arm gets blown off. You know, and then I'm not going to wreck the end for anybody that ain't seen it, but you know.
So I think, and that's to my point, right? You guys are giving really good input there, right? And I think you nailed it. Novelty's a really good perspective, and then Flex, to your point of like, everything that could possibly get thrown into the game gets thrown into the game, kind of like an afterthought of like, we got to include everything, right? But I think that's the really difficult spot that gamers are in currently, because things aren't new, right? So great game that came out. I'll single out a couple of games here, and I hate Bungie, even though I'm super excited about Destiny 2 because of what it does for me and my friends, because I can't get friends to play Halo with me because I'm a jerk. But like the couch co-op thing is non-existent now, right? So like Destiny kind of offers that. But Destiny was a newer, like it took something and did something different. Shadow of Mordor took the Nemesis system in that game. It literally took the best parts of Assassin's Creed and I mean Arkham. The Arkham series is fantastic, regardless of if people don't like the Arkham series, they can, they're wrong. But the Batman games, right, or the combat in those games is fantastic. And it took those things and it put them into Lord of the Rings folklore. And then you had the Nemesis system, which if you guys, have you played the game? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I played it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Right. So that was like a whole new thing. Like nobody had done something like that. So those were new things. The Witcher 3, which the first two Witcher games I've played, and I was like, eh. And then The Witcher 3 was just like, I've never played something that big that wasn't an MMO that felt like everything was intentionally done. Every side quest in that game is just intentionally done. But then we get to like Halo, right? And Halo 5, it can't make up its mind on what it wants to be. Call of Duty, these juggernaut franchises, right, can't make up what they want to be. I mean, we're getting like a World War II Call of Duty game, right? Battlefield 1 just dropped. I mean, somebody did it. Somebody's already done it. Like, Call of Duty is now recycling and going back to what they did. Now, is it probably going to be great? Yeah. I mean, it's because everybody's like, oh, this is so great because it's so new. And
I'm still holding out, that they're going to figure out a way to fuck it. You don't think that that Activision is going to find a way to mess this up?
Well, right, and there's so many different factors now where the video game industry isn't new, right? It's not like trying to hit the landmark. It's not trying to do the thing. That's why, like Breath of the Wild, I feel like it's just this gem of a game. Like
that's that Switch game you're talking about.
Yeah, it's on the Switch and it's on the Wii U, but Yam, if you're into like RPGs or open world stuff, dude, you have to pick it up. The game is fantastic.
What's the setting anyway?
So it's Did you ever play The Legend of Zelda on the NES?
No, I didn't. I didn't have a Nintendo in those days.
So here's where I go off on my whole side note, my tangent on how The Legend of Zelda was the original pioneer of open world RPGs, but it literally is, even though it's like a 2D, like weird scrolling kind of thing. Mm-hmm. The Legend of Zelda literally put you in the game and you could do whatever you wanted. That you probably die if you don't go get the sword and get other items, right? But you could go do whatever you wanted. There was nobody held your hand. You got put in the world and then you went and did stuff. Breath of the Wild is like the most impressive thing to me about that game is the physics. So like you can take a torch and you can light a hillside on fire, and then you can fan it with a leaf that you have in your backpack and it'll do stuff. Or you can create an updraft and you jump up it and then you can glide on it. And it's just like, and it's massive. It's huge and it's open and the game is so impressive on what it accomplishes.
Is this a well-known game? How come I haven't heard of it?
Yeah, it's the new Zelda game that dropped in like March, I think.
Oh, well, I don't have a Nintendo.
Oh, the new Zelda game for the Switch?
Yeah. It's one of the best games I've ever played in my life. And I've been playing it since I was like 3. All the way back Blades of Steel NES. Like, I mean, like, Breath of the Wild is fantastic. It's everything I've ever wanted in an open world game, minus like the durability crap that pisses me off. But that's neither here nor there. The game is really, really good. But that's my point, is there's nothing new. I think you nailed that, Yam. And then Flex is properly diagnosing the current trend in the gaming industry is we don't really know what to do with it, so let's just throw everything in it. And things don't have their identity anymore. Now here's where I throw the monkey wrench in here, right? Counter-Strike hasn't changed in over a decade.
Yep, it doesn't even look like it's changed either.
Now, great, right? It looks like dog puke. But now the benefit it has, right, is you can run it on a low-end PC and you can run it at a local LAN, and it was like open code, right, where you could pirate it and then share it with all your friends, and it didn't matter, right? You could create your own servers. So there's a lot of things that had going for it where it wasn't regulated via console, right? Mm-hmm. But that game has like a rabid following of hundreds of thousands of people.
Right.
Right. And it hasn't changed at all. I mean, that's an ignorant thing for me to say because I don't really play it, so I don't know how much about it has changed. But what I'm seeing and when I used to play it, it's not really different.
It's the same game. It's just, they'll tweak a gun or they'll tweak a map or something. But
mm-hmm. And because of the sandbox, right, tweaking a gun probably completely alters how the game is played.
Oh yeah, you get people with torches if you tweak something too much.
Right. So I think, and this is where I try to get over my love of old games and how they made me feel, and I feel like I'm chasing like that nostalgia. I'm chasing that.
Chasing the dragon.
Right. I'm chasing that stuff. Right. But at the same time, I'm not okay with kind of settling on, I'm just chasing this emotion and I'm chasing like these good games, because the deal is when good games come out and I play them, I feel fulfilled. I loved Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. If you guys have seen that, you get to freaking like ride a Nazgul and kill shit. Like, it's going to be amazing. Like, it's going to be so good. But Breath of the Wild came out. Breath of the Wild was amazing. Horizon Zero Dawn took third-person RPGs like Uncharted, which I didn't think you could make a better game than Uncharted 4, and it made it better. Horizon Zero Dawn's a fantastic game. So what the hell is 343 doing, and what the hell is Activision doing? I mean, they're
riding the cash cow, baby.
Right? EA somehow screwed up Battlefront. I don't even know how you do that. I don't even know how you do that. Like, that's just whatever. But I think we're in this awkward position, right, where the gaming industry itself, like consoles, right, or in the next decade, they've got to really figure out how to make better games, because mobile's killing it. Like Clash Royale, Clash of Clans. I mean, people have Twitch channels for like Clash Royale.
Yep.
No, I gotta be honest. I've never watched a Twitch of a phone game.
I haven't either. If I disappear, it's because it's really fucking storming here, man, and the power went out.
I know. But yes, what do you guys think of that, though? Like, is it kind of like, are we in this really awkward position where people just aren't making good games anymore, or is it?
Well,
because there really isn't something.
Have they literally sucked up all the creative tools? Have they sucked up all the vision?
Mm-hmm.
Have they sucked up everything out there that's to be used in a video game? I think not. There's a little game coming out. You might have heard of it in the past called Road Rash. They're remaking it. They're rebooting Road Rash.
Wow.
Road Rash was awesome.
Oh, man. Wheeling on the movie. That's great.
Well, certain developers have a track record that they know what they're doing and they know how to make games. Okay, Red Dead Redemption. You know that game is going to kick ass. That's going to be amazing, right? I mean, it's like I'd be shocked if it's not just a fantastic game.
Made by the same company that makes GTA.
Yeah, and you got your
look how long that said legs.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto. I mean, my God, that game is like...
It still has legs. They're still doing freaking double XP weekends, and people are flooding to it. It's crazy.
I think it's the good comparison, right? That's another good insight. Is it's like Adam Sandler and Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis has done 10 movies his entire career, 12, and he's won like 5 Oscars. He's a fantastic actor. I mean, granted, he's crazy. I mean, goes super into the role, like he does the method acting thing. Like, I don't know how you try to live like Abe Lincoln in 2014, but whatever. But then you got Adam Sandler, who cranks out a new movie. And granted, I like some of his stuff, right? But, he's just cranking out a new movie every day. And it's the same thing with like these developers, right? Like CD Projekt Red, they took their time. Rockstar takes their time with their games. They don't release a game every year. Activision releases a game every month.
Yeah.
And we're talking like Call of Duty. We're not talking like just their indie stuff or their side projects. I mean, they're releasing like an Insert, Sledgehammer's taking over it, and Treyarch and all these other people, right? But like there's like a new game every year. So at some point, you're going to suffer a quality or whatever. You lose the wow factor. I mean, remember when we got Halo CE? I'm going to go back to Halo because I freaking love Halo. Like CE dropped, and like, I mean, I played Marathon on Mac, and like, oh, these are the guys. CE came out and like completely like blew my mind. I didn't even know what to do with myself. I was like, wait, we don't have to use a mouse and keyboard. We can play with a controller. This is amazing. And then Halo 2 dropped. I was like, oh my gosh. I went and waited for Halo 3 at midnight because I wanted to play the new Halo game, right? I was super disappointed, but whatever. But like they were like 3 years apart. And the campaigns were fantastic, and they added new, innovative things, but they were good things. They weren't like stupid crap, dumb things.
But see, those were the days before they were cranking out games. It's like Assassin's Creed and their annual installments, and Call of Duty when their annual installments weren't a thing yet. It's like the proven formula of let's just slam out games is like on the regular. Oh, yeah. Now it's a proven formula for making money, but in those days they didn't know that yet.
Well, what Call of Duty did was they went to a 3-developer situation, and then they planned things 3 years out. Well, if you plan things 3 years out, you are going to sooner or later end up with an Infinite Warfare, and nobody's going to like it.
Right.
Or Black Ops 3 flopped. Somehow Black Ops flopped.
Yeah.
And then Call of Duty Ghosts. We don't even talk about Call of Duty Ghosts because it's Call of Duty Ghosts, right? Like,
it's terrible.
But I think that's the deal, right? Is then maybe part of the reason I hate the gaming industry or I get really upset with the gaming industry isn't even necessarily like the creative people and what they're trying to make. It's the publishers. So maybe the publishers are the problem, right? They set these deadlines on people, so it's not movies. So I was watching The Revenant today, which if you haven't seen it, and you're into like cinematography, the shots and the way they shot that movie.
Which movie are you talking about?
The Revenant with
the bear, yeah.
Oh, you're right. But like that movie the shots are insane. So good. But I mean, they spent way over budget. They had all kinds of problems filming it, but it was art. It's art.
It was a good
regardless
movie.
if it's entertaining or not. Even Michael Bay movies, in some weird way, shape, or form, are art. Video games are the same thing. They're entertainment and they're art. And games like Red Dead Redemption and The Witcher 3 and Breath of the Wild, and I would argue even like the first 3 installments of the Halo franchise, and even earlier Call of Duty games, right? There was story. They were driven. They were well crafted pieces of art. And now we get the thing where it's like, you know, part of it's made in China, part of it's made in Taiwan. Well, they would never exist in the same universe. You get my point, though, right? Like they're just kind of slapped together and then they're put in a box and then they're shipped.
It's like the Fast and the Furious created into a video game.
Right. So as much as I want at E3 in 2 weeks, I want Halo 3 Anniversary, and I want it with hit scan and not projectile, right? I want a return to that. I want to see that Halo return, but part of me also wants to wait on Halo 6. I don't want them to have a new Halo game at E3 to launch with the Scorpio. Now, granted, if they launch like the Scorpio with Halo 3 Anniversary, like, and it's well done, forget it, man. Game over. It's game over, man. But
do you really think that we'll get a Halo 3 after the Master Chief? They already got it. They already
Halo 3 Anniversary instead of Halo 2 Anniversary. I think. Okay, so here's the weird thing, right? I've played some custom games on Halo 5 recently, and even with I took off Spartan Charge because Spartan Charge is just an insult. But we played with thruster packs, we played with Clamber, and we played with the Halo 2 battle rifles, and with no radar on some custom tighter knit maps, and it felt like classic Halo, except faster. It felt awesome. It was tons of fun to play. But this pistol crap. And here's the other problem with the pistol is crap? I hate the pistol in Halo 5. And I think I finally figured out my hatred of it.
It's too good? It's not good enough?
No, it's because it's so inconsistent. And there's so much precision where so much of Halo 5 isn't about gunfights and fighting. It's about running away from a gunfight. It's the increased mobility. You've increased people's mobility and their way to escape gunfights with thruster, clamber, and Spartan Charge, because people can sprint right into Spartan Charge and get behind a wall, and then sprint. And you've increased the kill time with a 5-shot pistol. And it's a precision gun. It's very hard to kill people with. Now, that's if you have a good connection. But my hatred of the pistol...
Well, maybe for you.
Right, because I suck. But my hatred of the pistol, I think, is more because it's so inconsistent because of the servers and because of the aim. Like, there's games you'll play, like... my buddy Travis, he lives in California. He's one of the best Halo players I've ever known. He's a fantastic Halo player, right? But, like, when we play separately, we just rail people. Like, we destroy people, right? Because our connections are good. But if we play together... Like, we shoot marshmallows. I'll like shoot a guy 6 times.
If you're playing cross country, there's no first person shooter that doesn't have the problem of, like, the speed of light is finite.
Absolutely. But at the same time, like, you know, it's one of those things where it's not. It breaks the game because of how they've designed the sandbox. Like, the battle rifle is a very, very noob friendly weapon. But as you play against people who are better and more skilled, right, you get punished if you suck with it. The pistol, I remember, what was it? Until recently, right, there wasn't even a playlist to not have radar and assault rifle starts. So you give us a precision weapon, right? Halo has always been, I mean, you guys will like hearing this because you like Call of Duty so much, but Halo has always been the really egotistical, like, snobby kids, because we think we're better than every other console player because we play Halo. Halo's a precision shooter. If you're better with a precision weapon, you win. If you're not, then you lose. Right. That's it. Halo 5 didn't ship like that. Halo 5 started people with assault rifles that were crazy OP and automatic weapons that were crazy OP, and people sprinting around and sliding and thrusting and all this other BS, right? So you weren't ever at an advantage if you could shoot people with a precision weapon. Why? Because they would just run up to you, they would crouch in a corner, they'd shoot you with an assault rifle, and then they'd melee you. Or they get bonus damage for critting with an assault rifle, right?
Well, I do think that the automatic weapons are kind of too good. Yeah.
And the reason they seem so good is because Halo 5 plays so much faster. Because you don't have the and that's why the pistol isn't fun. Because you replace the pistol as a starting weapon, and granted, this breaks all the maps and the sandbox and all the other crap, right? But I would argue if you make the maps a little bit tighter knit, you get rid of Spartan Charge, right? And you replace the pistol with a battle rifle, the game immediately becomes more fun for people. It absolutely does. Because then it's not a matter of you sprinting around and Spartan charging somebody and then shooting them with the assault rifle before they're dead, because right now it's so much faster. The tournament they had this last weekend, right? They switched it out. They put the new radar in, and then they had people start with pistol starts. And it was so much more fun to watch. Because people weren't just crouching in a corner with an automatic weapon waiting for somebody to, run around and whatever. But the battle rifle bridges the gap on, a 5-shot kill pistol on a bad server is very different than a battle rifle shot on a bad server. Because it's more forgiving, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? Because you deal more damage. It's a 4-shot kill, not a 5-shot kill. And you don't have 12 rounds in your clip. You have 36. So, or 32, whatever it is. But yeah, so to wrap that whole point up, right, that whole tangent was, I think, especially in 343's case, and I would make the argument for Call of Duty, like Activision, they've really got to figure out how to get people back. Call of Duty is this. You got to get people to have boots on the ground again. You got to get rid of this jetpack crap and all this other mobility stuff, which is fine and it's fun to watch, whatever. But you need to get people back to what is the brand? What was Call of Duty? Well, Call of Duty was a twitchy shooter, right? It was very Counter-Strike-esque, but it was boots on the ground. You weren't a super soldier. You were a special ops guy, and you were kicking the out of the other special ops guy. That's what you did. And Halo, it's the same thing. Halo has gotten so convoluted, and people can say Sprint needs to stay, fine, whatever, right? But I don't know. They did so much with Halo 5 where they could have tweaked some stuff. I felt like it made it really, really good. But it's completely lost its identity as a franchise where I feel like they can't figure out what they want to do. They can't figure out what they want to be. They gave us a shitty campaign. Warzone.
I'll give you props on that. That campaign was just a
dog.
Dude, it had so much potential to be awesome, too. It did. And then I played Black Ops 3. And I was super excited. I'm not a Call of Duty guy, but I love Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2, I think, is one of the best Call of Duty games I've played. It's fantastic.
I agree.
And I played Black Ops 3, and I was kind of
yeah,
man, this is
kind of like a kick in the nuts, wasn't it?
It was just it wasn't. It was just a lot of jetpacking.
I'm surprised they didn't have zip lines. That's all I can say.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I feel like there's this return that needs to happen where instead of just cranking out a bunch of crap, right? And people like this stuff. I'm not trying to rain on anybody's opinions or whatever, but there's a reason why people burn through games so quickly and there's no replay value. I think that's it. That's the point, right? Halo 5 isn't fulfilling to keep going back and playing. Infinite Warfare is not fun to keep keep going back to and playing.
Well, it's like junk food. Yeah. It's just quick, consume it, and it's crumple up the wrapper and throw it away.
I can pop in Black Ops, and I can get lost for 3 hours to this day.
Right.
And totally forget about what the fuck is going on in my life for 3 hours and have a great time. And they just don't get it, I don't think. They don't understand.
Well, there needs to be a level of simplicity where the focus is on how well you do it, not how much you do.
Well, that too, but when they started ripping off maps from previous CODs to stuff into new ones, it was that was bullshit. I mean, firing range is firing range on Black Ops 1. That's what it is, man. You don't remake it some Hollywood fucked up mess that was and suck shit up an ass, man.
and how many times are they going to do Nuketown? It's are we stuck with Nuketown for the eternity?
Well, then they sell it separate DLC, which is totally crap. But even then, right? I'll forgive people for the maps. like, if you're just going to play them in like some throwaway party playlist, fine, whatever, right? But I think there's that point, right? Like there was something about the Halo franchise, right, in the beginning, and I refuse to take the argument where people are like, well, Halo didn't have, competition, which is crap, because Halo was a great game regardless if it had competition or not, right? Number two is the gameplay was simple, right? It mastered the simplicity of it, but then you mastered the gameplay.
Right. Easy to pick up, difficult to master.
Right. The skill gap was just like, if you knew this jump or you knew this spot, then you'd be better, right? Like all these other things. And now, like, you just add and add and add. Like, I'm going back and I'm replaying through Final Fantasy VII. I've replayed through it 3 times last year. I freaking love the game. I'm working through another playthrough of FF8. Like, to Flex's point, like, I'll go plug in Breath of the Wild and I'll play it for 2 hours and I'll be like, oh crap, what happened? I was just hacking at this tree with an axe, and like I completely forgot what I was doing.
Got lost in the game, man.
I plug in Infinite Warfare. I play it for 10 minutes. I'm like, I can't play this. This is so frustrating. Not only am I pissed at myself for spending $60 on it, like, this is just not fun.
You make it 10 minutes?
Wow. Right? Halo 5, it's the same thing. Like, I play with a group of friends, and like, we have a lot of fun when we play, but at some point the game breaks. At some point, the game doesn't play well. At some point, like, we'll go through a couple matches, right, where everybody's shots are connecting and we're having a great time and it's working. And it's not just because we're winning, right? It's because I know when I put my reticle on that guy's head and I shoot him, he's going to die. And then I go to other games where it doesn't work anymore. It's not fun because Halo doesn't offer me anything else. What else am I going to do? Warzone?
Ooh, tornado sirens.
Right. So I think it's that thing where, I hope they don't continue to jack up the Halo franchise. They got to figure out what to do. There's all the kinds of things they're doing wrong. And same with Call of Duty.
I don't know what they got to do. They got to do something. I don't know what they got to do, but they got to do something, man.
And if Bungie totally learned from all their mistakes with Destiny, then everybody's got to look out for Destiny 2. Because if they make LG settings for that game, forget it. That game has such a rabid following for the first one.
The fact of the matter is we said it right here on this show that it wouldn't have any legs.
Did we say that?
We said that. We fucking said that, man. We said, Destiny, that game ain't gonna have no legs.
I don't think.
Dude, I'll pull the episode. We said it.
Great. So I avoided all of the political stuff that Yan wanted to talk about. Yes.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, I know what we got to do. Got to do a Flex Health update.
Okay, Flex Health update.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, the government saw fit to not giving me my cancer drug, so my cancer came back. And I got the test results today, and the shit came all the way back.
Really?
But I did get my cancer drug, thanks to Bristol Myers, after 2.5 months finally giving it to me for free. So hopefully the cancer will go away.
Well, Trump's got your back, man.
You also have a gun, you. Oh. All right. Well, that's my health report anyway.
All right.
Sorry, Flex.
Well, if you're still here watching this Bulletproof episode number 231, good for you. Good for you. You get a cookie.
Good for you.
Even through a tornado warning.
Hey, this was a shorter one, guys. This wasn't 2 hours long. This was only
That's
an hour
it.
and 25 minutes.
All right. So I have been your co-host, Yam Juice.
And I've been your co-host, Flex.
And once again, we would like to thank the guy we could hardly get him to talk. It's like getting him to talk is like pulling teeth. Kelly Apokalyps3, yeah!
Thanks, guys. It's always a blast talking to y'all.
Oh my goodness! All right, so it is that time again. Okay. So we'll see what happens with that green screen that you got there.
What'd you do?
Dirty, no.
Who knows? Who knows? It's like we may have even just for fun mess with Flex's green because you got green shoulders. Anywho, there's only one goddamn thing left to do. Take us out, Mr. Flex. Bloop.
Bye, everybody.